What's up, guys? How you guys doing today? I hope the music is not too loud. Turn it down a little bit. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, that's probably better. Maybe you guys can hear me better. Hopefully. I just wanted to just do a brief video, and I wanna talk a little bit about the documentary, or not documentary, but the mini series on Netflix, When They See Us, by Ava DuVernay. I did a video, I'd say about, 5-6 days ago, and I discussed the Central Park 5 case. And basically what I said in that video, I was speaking about the injustices that basically surrounded that case, and how the five brothers, the five young black boys, black boys, were railroaded and falsely imprisoned, falsely accused of a crime they did not commit. And the four suspects, unfortunately, were Antron McCray, Kevin Richardson, Yusef Salaam, Raymond Santana, and Corey Wise. I watched the When They See Us by Ava DuVernay. She's the director, and she also directed the documentary on Netflix also called 13th, and she also directed Selma. But I watched When They See Us 2 days ago. Well, today's Wednesday, right? So Sunday, 3 days ago, on Netflix. And I believe that it was a great injustice, the way those brothers were treated. There was an overzealous prosecutor, overzealous detectives, because they figured they had to solve the case. The media was complicit as well. So you had an overzealous media, overzealous prosecution, or a DA's office, and overzealous NYPD in how they dealt with this, and they rushed to judgment. The evidence, there was no evidence to condemn these boys, to tie them to the crime of rape of Patricia Malley, the Central Park jogger. There was no DNA evidence tying them to such a crime, to such a heinous crime. So there were 6 victims in this. The 5 boys, because they were boys at the time, and Patricia Malley. But like I said, it was an overzealous prosecution, or DA's office, or overzealous NYPD, or the detectives of the NYPD, and the media pretty much added fuel to the flame. And at that time, New York was so very, very, in the 80s and 90s, New York was pretty much very segregated, and it still is to a degree. Racism still is there. Believe that. America is still pretty much segregated, if you think about it. Ideally, I have in terms of philosophy, and in terms of principles or laws, and how the laws are applied to specific individuals based on race, color. America is still a very segregated society. But like I was saying, that the DNA, I digress a little bit. The DNA evidence that was collected by these overzealous detectives of the NYPD did not match any of the DNA evidence or DNA that was taken from the 5 suspects. But they were still convicted. They were convicted on coerced, forced testimony against themselves. Those boys were questioned or interrogated for 48 straight hours without parental presence, without legal aid, or a lawyer being present. And there were times, well, I guess what they were saying is that there were certain incidences or times when there were parental presence, but for the first 24 hours, there was no parental presence. They did not, the parents were not there. And even those parents, when they were present, a lot of those parents, come on, man, they were scared for the kids. They wanted their kids to come home. These overzealous detectives, they coerced even the parents, convinced the parents that, hey, look, you want your kids to come home, then they need to confess. They need to tell on the next person in. At least, say something, because we'll let them go home. If they didn't do anything, then who did something? Did Yusuf Salam do it? Huh? We're talking to Raymond Santana right now. Raymond Santana, did Yusuf Salam do it? Did he do it? Or did Kevin Richardson do it? Say something. And this was before. This was never recorded when they were coerced. So after they coerced and tortured them boys physically, because they did torture them physically before the parents got there. So they were already pretty much marinated. The torture, the mental anguish, the physical evidence, or the physical beatings were pretty much evident, if not visible on all, but some. The physical evidence was visible. Some of the boys had bruises on their, like black eyes, or bruises on their arms, or come on, man. Lip bleeding a little bit. They were slapped around. They were beaten up, and they were coerced into condemning themselves, into basically giving false testimony. They were forced to give false confessions. So they did that, and they kept up the pace for, like I said, 48 hours, whether the parents were there or not. But for the first 24 hours or 28 hours, there was no parental presence, and no legal presence. But they were convicted, and each of these boys got anywhere from 6 to 14 years. Corey Wise got the most time. He served 14 years because he was the oldest, so they gave him the most time. And then he was forced into adult facilities. He was only 16 years old at the time, or 15 or 16, but they forced him into being with adults, people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? A fucking baby, man. That is the justice system in this country, and it's still that way to this day. Black people are treated like shitness in America, in so-called America, and I'm gonna say this with a triple K, America, not with a C-A at the end, with a K-K-K-A, America, with a triple K. That's how it is in America. America's a racist ass fucking country, a nation, and America have the nerve to try to be so morally correct in terms of telling how other countries should dictate and control their citizens, how they should treat their citizens. America is not in any moral position to condemn any other nation and say that that nation or such nation has violated the rights of its citizens, when America itself still to this day is violating the human rights, the human dignity of her black children. Now, the FBI evidence that was collected never connected these 5 boys, these wrongly accused innocent black boys, to a heinous crime. There was a cervical swab. There was evidence from the DNA kit, or from the rape kit, that did not connect these 5 boys to that heinous crime, because each of these boys, their saliva was taken, their mouths were swabbed. They collected blood from each of the boys. They collected hair samples, and they collected fingernails, urine samples. Nothing connected these boys. The FBI say the evidence that was collected from the crime scene, the evidence that was collected from the rape kit does not match the DNA of these boys, of these suspects. The person, the actual perpetrator of such crime, of this heinous crime, was Matias Reyes. Now, Matias Reyes admitted in 2002 to committing this crime, and he also raped and killed other women. But he came forward because he said he changed his life. He turned his life around. He became a Christian. So, in his mind, he felt that it was morally wrong for those boys to serve time for something they did not commit. Because in a movie, if you look at When They See Us, he had an altercation with Corey Wise. They had a fight. I guess it was in a TV room or whatnot, the rec room, and they had a fight, and they were younger then. And 6 years later, or 5-6 years later, they met up again in a different prison. And Reyes was like, "Oh wow, you're still here," And he confessed. He didn't confess at that moment. According to the miniseries, he basically talked to Mr. Wise, and he's like telling him that he changed his life and that he apologized for the altercation or the fight they had in the rec room 6 or 5 years prior, and he told him he turned his life around, and hey, he was a Christian, and he asked for forgiveness, and Wise forgave him and accepted his apology. But anyway, eventually Mr. Matias Reyes confessed. He admitted to committing these heinous crimes. They really wanted those boys to confess, especially Corey Wise. He was up for parole multiple times, at least 2 or 3 times, and he kept saying he didn't do it. They said in order for you to get out, you have to confess. You have to own up to you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to show some form of accountability for committing such heinous crime. So admit that you committed such a crime. And Corey Wise, he unequivocally rejected that. He unequivocally said he was innocent, and he would not succumb to pressure. He wanted to go home. He really wanted to go home, but he said that his morality, his mind, his convictions, his inner being would not allow him to confess to something he didn't do. Because, as you know, he did confess earlier to taking part. When he was younger, he took part. He confessed to taking part because it was coerced confession that he took part, and he blamed others because he was considered the glue. He was considered the key. Because that's what Linda Fairstein, she said, he is the key. Corey is the key. If we can get to him, then we can get everybody. And they worked Corey. Corey gave that testimony. Everyone gave testimony, but they used what Corey said to pretty much, to build their case, to solidify their case, So that's what Linda Fairstein said. She said, we can get Corey, get him, then we get everybody. He's the one. So in his mind, he's like, damn, okay. He confessed prior. He blamed himself, he blamed the others. And by the way, they didn't even know each other. Most of them didn't even know each other. These boys didn't know each other. But anyway, I digress again. I'm emotional right now, and I really had to fight back the tears, man. I really had to fight back the fucking tears. That documentary by Ava DuVernay was a fucking tear fucking jerker, man. 13th was a tearjerker. I watched 13th yesterday as well. But I've seen 13th before, but I watched it again yesterday, and so angry. I'm so angry. My anger will not allow me to shed tears. I've read comments of those people that said who said they have watched When They See Us or the 13th documentary, and they said they've cried, they cried. I couldn't cry, man, because my anger would not allow me to. I figure if I don't cry, if I just stay angry, then it would basically strengthen them. It would strengthen those who are also right now in prison, who have been falsely accused, who are still being falsely accused. It would strengthen them if I don't shed a tear, man, if I just hold on to that anger. But so that's why Corey did not admit to committing that crime. And he was denied parole like 2 or 3 times because he would not admit to that crime. He didn't do it. He made a mistake before because he was coerced when he was younger to admit to something he didn't do, because he was told if you admit to something, if you admit to this, you're gonna go home, and you could blame them. But you say what you did, just you got to make it seem like you had something to do with it too, even if it's a minuscule part, a very miniature, minor part. Say something. Just say, even if you held her arms down, say that. But what did they do? Who actually raped her? You just held her arms on, right? That's all you did. That's it. Maybe you felt her titties or whatnot. So I'm gonna say, fuck Linda Fairstein. Fuck Donald Trump, because that son of a bitch, I'm not even gonna call him, fuck that, I'm gonna call him 45. He took out $85,000 in newspaper ads. He took out ads in 4 major New York newspapers. 4. He paid $85,000 condemning these boys. They're innocent. He condemned them boys. He was calling for the reinstatement of the death penalty. He wanted the death penalty come back. Was there ever a death penalty in New York? I believe so. But he wanted those boys to die. He wanted the death penalty to be imposed. He wanted them dead. Had he gotten his way, them boys would be dead right now, and there probably would not have been a When They See Us or a Central Park 5 documentary, And if something would have happened to that brother, to the Matthias Reyes, the really guilty person, if something even actually happened to him, if he did not confess, these boys would have been out of prison. Believe that. They would have gotten out. But we wouldn't know the truth. We wouldn't really know the total truth right now. So I'm fucking pissed. Excuse my language, but I'm fucking pissed right now. And I think it's bullshit. And this is indicative of American politics, Americans' policies toward black people. And something's got to change. You motherfuckers. Y'all want us to be loyal and respectful, and if you want us to consider it. How can we say we're Americans? How can we claim to be Americans, American citizenship, Americanism, when you motherfuckers treat us like this? No, man, fuck that. It's time for black Americans, African Americans, indigenous Americans, ADOS, to stand up and say enough is enough. And if anybody that disrespects us, whether they're white or black, that are not indigenous to this country, that are immigrants, Hispanics, or anybody that come to this country and did not put in their fucking due and eating at the table that we've established, the table that we built, our ancestors built. If they can't respect us, then we gotta say fuck y'all and kiss our ass, get the fuck on. It's time for us to stop taking the bullshit. It's time for us to stand the fuck up and say fuck everybody that's against us, and do not sugarcoat it. Do not fucking compromise, and fuck them. Fuck them. If they think that we have to bow down and kiss their fucking ass, they should be kissing our ass and saying thank you. Because in the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, black folks indigenous black people have fought for immigrants. We fought for our rights as black people. We also fought for the rights of people of color. We fought for the rights of women, even white women. Everybody seemed like they joined our struggle, and they benefit from it more than we do. We put in the most fucking work. They all jump on the bandwagon, and they benefit from it more than we do. Enough is enough. Kiss my ass, motherfucker. So I'm gonna say, fuck you, Linda Fairstein. I'm gonna say fuck Trump for that bullshit he did. He's a racist. I'm gonna say fuck Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani, because he was calling them fucking predators too. I'm gonna say fuck the New York media, New York newspapers, or any newspaper in America for that matter, that was calling these five young black men predators, super predators, wolf pack. They're wilding out. Fuck y'all, sons of bitches. And everyone should be sued. Every person that I'm talking about, every person, every name or organization I'm mentioning right now should be sued by these brothers. Fuck that, because that 41 million was not enough, because they had to pay legal fees to their lawyers. They had to pay legal fees, so they didn't get that. They tired of the 41 million. They should have got all that 41 million. So I think they should sue more. Fuck that. Hillary, Bill Clinton, you got to go back to the crime bill. You got to go back to the minimum what is that? The minimum sentencing guidelines, the mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines when Clinton was in office. Fuck them. And then Hillary was calling them super predators too, calling black young men across this country super predators. And those brothers that was in New York in the so-called Central 5 jogging case called them super predators. So fuck y'all all complicit. So I say Rudy Giuliani, Trump, Hillary, Bill, Joe Biden too. That son of a bitch. That son of a bitch. They're all sons of bitches and daughters of bitches. Fuck them all. Joe Biden, y'all gotta be careful. Don't vote for these motherfuckers. These so-called Democrats, these so-called liberals, they're just as bad as the alt-right, these ultra-conservative, right-wing motherfuckers. These left-wingers are just as bad. They claim to be down for black people and the friends of black people. They ain't nothing but foxes. See, we got the fox and the wolves. Like Malcolm X said, you got the foxes and you have the wolves. They're both carnivorous. The fox and the wolf, they both are carnivorous beings. They're both meat eaters, right? They love blood. They love raw flesh. They eat you raw. You ain't got to be cooked. They eat you raw. They're carnivorous. They're carnivores. Their methods, how they attract or how they ambush their prey is different. See, as far as a wolf, you will see a wolf coming at you because a wolf is growling, it's drooling. You know what I'm saying? It looks more menacing. So you'll see a wolf from a mile away. But they're very cunning. Wolves are very cunning. Believe that. If you're not careful, they get you. But at least you could see a wolf coming at you from a mile away. Whereas on the other hand, on the flip side of that coin, the same coin, you got the fox that's more cunning, more friendly, and come at you like a friend, like a family. I love you, I tolerate you, I'm fighting for you, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, they're basically going to piggyback on you, on your struggle, and they're going to get the benefits. You see? And then when they're done with you, they're going to throw your ass to the wayside, throw you in a ditch somewhere, and leave you to die. Or they might eat you. America eats her young. America eats her young. So karma's a motherfucker, man. Karma's a motherfucker. Hope I covered everybody. I don't know. And the thing is, I really hope that Trisha Malley, I really hope that she could reach out to those brothers. See? I wish she could reach out to those brothers and you know, but I don't think she will, because according to brother Yusuf Salam, he stated that Patricia Malley, she don't even want to talk to them because she made money too. Believe that she's made lots of money based on this case. So if she associates or connect with these guys and appear to be friendly with them, appear to be understanding, and try to, you know, admit that okay, they didn't do it, because I guess they're saying is that first she was like, oh, I have no recollection, I don't remember, but now she's like, okay, I don't know, maybe they did it, maybe they didn't. Linda Fairstein, she's a bitch, and that bitch should be sued. She built her case on these boys' predicament, on their nightmare, on their torture, on their on the way they were treated was so horrendous, unspeakable, unfucking conscionable, and something needs to be done. Something has to be done. America is infested. The world is infested with racism, and racism is a disease. So how to cure disease, you need medication, right? But what type of medication you need, that's the thing. So you got to think about what type of medication, because for every disease or every sickness, you have to prescribe a specific medication to cure that specific disease. So what? It's a spiritual fucking deadness. It's a spiritual sickness. Their soul, their spirits are dead. Their spirits are attacked. Their spirits are evil. So how do you cure? How do you rectify? How do you reinvigorate? If you want to call it reinvigorate, has it ever been reinvigorated? Because racism is learned in the womb. I believe so. Racism is learned in the womb, because when a woman is pregnant, okay. They say, like, okay, you ever heard this? Like, when a woman is pregnant, you play good music while your baby is in your belly. You read books while your baby's in your belly. Your baby is picking up on that energy. It's all energies. Energy is energy. You dig? So you're reading to your baby. Your baby's listening to you. It's like the vibrations from your voice. You know, it's the vibe. It's like the energy that from your body. Your baby's picking up on the energy of your body, and then anything that's going on outside your body is vibrating. Your body's absorbing that shit. So when you absorb it, if your baby's constantly hearing negativity, feeling negativity, it's gonna affect your baby in your womb, in your belly. It's gonna affect your baby. That's a scientific fucking fact. So if you so that's why they say always play good music when you're pregnant. Exercise, drink a little bit of wine, because wine is good for your baby too, I guess, to a degree. But good music, reading to your baby, singing to your baby, and just living a healthy lifestyle. But if your baby's constantly just picking up all that negative fucking energy, come on, man. The baby's already a fucking racist before the baby come out of the womb. That's just, it's scientific fucking fact. It's energy, man. It's energy. The baby's gonna pick up on that energy. The energy you put out there is gonna come back. The energy you put out into the world is coming back to you. You know what I'm saying? So when you speak it, your baby is absorbing it. And then somebody out there, people constantly speaking it around you. If you're constantly hanging around them type of people, that energy is going to rub off on you. And that's the energy that you're absorbing. That's the energy you're generating within. That's going into your baby. So racism is generated in the womb, man. Not saying that you can't be turned around. Not saying that you can't, the light can't be brought to you, because anyone could change, depending on the severity of the damage. You dig? If the damage is not too severe, then yeah, there's a chance. And then sometimes it takes a life-changing experience or situation to really change a motherfucker. Because there's times when there's people that were considered to be staunch or, staunch racists, big time fucking racists, and they were saved. They were saved by a black person. Their lives were on the line, and a black person stepped in and helped them and saved them. And I guess they changed their way of thinking, their philosophy, and I don't know. But anyway, this is America, man. What a triple fucking K, KKK. I don't know. So it is what it is. So where are we at? 30 minutes. I'm about to end this right now. And like I said, she also did 13th, Ava DuVernay. She did a 13th documentary, Selma movie, and When to See Us miniseries on Netflix. And yeah, so watch. I don't know if you guys have seen the 13th. Watch it, because they talk about mass incarceration. They talk about the 13th Amendment, whereas the 13th Amendment was supposed to protect black people or ex-slaves, basically give us freedoms and our human dignity, human rights. But there was a clause within the 13th Amendment that reintroduced former slaves back into servitude, back into the system of slavery. There's a clause in it. And that all's all tied into the black codes and Jim Crow laws and all that shit. So there's remnants of Jim Crow laws and black codes and all that shit that's going on to this day. This racist system just constantly, continuously evolving. It's constantly, continuously evolving. You understand what I'm saying? Constantly evolving. Different phases of it. Different phases. In order for a system, an ideology to survive, there has to be stages of evolution. In order for an ideal to manifest, constantly manifest, or constantly take hold of society, it has to go through a metamorphosis, a constant metamorphosis, a constant stage of evolution. So that's what's going on with the system of racism. It's constantly reinventing itself, constantly evolving. So, and one thing I like about the documentary, the 13th documentary, they talk a little bit about, or they talk a lot about war on drugs. As we know, the war on drugs was bullshit. It was just a way of constantly entrapping